Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Cube6 and today I'm going to be showing you the top 5 advanced redstone tips that will get you ahead of the curve when building your redstone contraptions. And hopefully these tips will help you throughout building your redstone contraptions, make it life a little bit easier while designing some of these. As you can see, I've got 5 different colors that we're going to be taking a look at today, and with multiple examples of each. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the first one. So the very first one is called Quasi Connectivity. Now Quasi Connectivity has been thrown around so many times in the past, and it's been talked about through many YouTubers, and honestly I guarantee you that nobody that watches those videos absolutely knows what Quasi Connectivity is. So I'm gonna go ahead and explain it right now. So yeah, Quasi Connectivity is when a piston or another updatable object is adjacent or diagonal from a block that has a piece of redstone dust on top of it, or this block is being powered. If I go ahead and power this piece of redstone dust, as you can see, this piston is not going to extend, which is kind of self-explanatory. I mean, this dust is nowhere near this piston. Why would it ever extend? Well, if you go ahead and place another block next to this piston, then the piston will extend. This is the basic concept of quasi connectivity. And if I go ahead and destroy this redstone block, it will stay extended until I break this block or cause a block update next to this piston. That's what it's called when you place or break a block next to a piston that is extended through quasi connectivity. It's called a block update. This turns out is actually very useful for a lot of very complex contraptions, including a bud switch. This was like the primary bud switch before they actually added observers. One example of quasi connectivity is actually through the triple piston extender. This is a nice triple piston extender circuit that I'll leave down in the description below if you want to go ahead and follow that tutorial. It's not from me, but it's from someone who's far more experienced than me. But anyway, so this triple piston extender design, when this piston right here is in this location right here, as you can see, it's literally the exact same setup as we have over here. We just have a piece of redstone powering this block, which is adjacent or diagonal to this piston, which is causing a quasi connectivity connection between these two. If you go ahead and place a block right here, as you can see, the triple piston extender will happen, and what happened right there was the piston right here is actually pushed down to the bottom, and then this piston comes in from the backside and then delivers a block update the same way as that we did with the cyan wool over in the first example. Now once that happens, it'll spit out the block and then it'll get retracted up into the ceiling, and then you just hit the block one more time, and as you can see, it will do all of that once again, and it'll get that final block retraction as well. This is a prime example of quasi connectivity in its finest, for a nice compact triple piston downward extender. All right, moving on. This is going to be number 2, leaves. Believe it or not, leaves and logs actually deliver a redstone current. If you have a log right here that's attached to a piston and then it goes around, it will actually go ahead and deliver a redstone signal throughout this observer. Now some of you might already know this because it's pretty game breaking. I mean, how does this even work? Some of you might not know this, so this was actually a great way if you are in a very tight space and you just need to have some way of getting one piece of redstone to the next. And yeah, so that's that. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is very useful, but it's kind of one of those things that not many people think about. So the advanced redstone tip for number 3 is redirectors. So what I mean by redirectors is pretty much we have all of these things that redirect redstone current. So as you can see, we have a piece of redstone dust right here, and if we place a tripwire hook on this block, as you can see, it will redirect it. But say if you don't have a block here, then you can't place a tripwire hook. Well, you have a stone pressure plate that redirects it. But say if you don't have a block right here, then what do you use? You can't use any other block, so you use a target block, and so on and so forth. You can also use a trap chest. So these are just some things that you use to redirect redstone wire. A practical example of this is when you have 2 pistons that are like this, but you only want to power this one. As you can see, both of these are being powered right now because the redstone dust is going into both of these. But we only want to power this one, so we use a block redirector. And if we place one of these, the one that I use is a detector rail, and if you go ahead and power it now, this piston will only extend. So this is, again, one of those features that is really not going to happen a lot of times, but is very useful for when that problem occurs in one of your redstone builds. Alright, so the 4th advanced redstone tip is going to involve observers. Now, I know a lot of people don't really know what the observer does. Like half the people that I talk to are like, oh, I don't have no idea what the observer does, but it is very useful and is a key component of the redstone tab, I guess. So how an observer works is pretty much if you place a block on this side of the observer, then this lamp will light up. Same thing if you destroy it, and that means that kind of goes for anything. So if you had a piston right here and you have a lever, if you go ahead and give that a flick, that lamp will light up. Same thing if you retract it. So observers are very useful, and that's why if you want to do advanced redstone, then you got to learn them. But all of these items in here will actually assist in advanced observer techniques. It's kind of a fancy way of saying that these are useful with the observer. So this is an example. If you just have one solid line of observers going straight into the lamp, then that will actually take a very long time to hit that redstone lamp. Whereas if you have an observer going into a block, which goes into a dropper, which again is one of these items in here, which then gets an observer output taken from the dropper, which then goes into a block, which goes into a dropper, which goes into an observer, which goes into another block, and then goes into this redstone lamp. This will be significantly less time than this. So if I go ahead and flick this lever, as you can see, this one will power the lamp much faster than this one could ever do. And as you can see, that happened one more time there. So that's why this is useful if you want to power things quicker than just the standard line of observers. So now we're going to be talking about which blocks actually have different influences on the observer. So we're going to be talking about the redstone lamp, the hopper, and the note block. So lamps, for example, if you go ahead and give this lever a flick, as you can see, this lamp will stay on significantly longer than if you would have just done the standard dropper method. As you can see, if you would use the dropper method, it was very quick, whereas the lamp method actually had a very, very long output. This is also very useful if you want to split up one input into multiple outputs. So watch this redstone line, and if I go ahead and give this lever a flick, then that redstone line will flick twice because the lamp will turn on and then turn back off, and this observer will detect that. So once more, it'll happen twice. Whereas if you just have a dropper, then that redstone line will just flick on once. So the lamp has some interesting properties which you can play with, and you can use those to your advantage. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at the hopper. So the hopper has some very unique properties. Say if you want to go ahead and directly power this note block with this observer. If you go ahead and give this a flick, as you can see, this lamp will turn on, but also this piece of redstone will light up. What if we don't want this piece of redstone dust to light up? Say if you're in a very tight situation, well, instead of a note block, you can use a hopper. So if we go ahead and give this example a shot, the lamp will light up without powering this because the hopper is not a solid block, but it still can pass a redstone current through it, which is very interesting. All right, now the beloved note block, I've kind of shown this in the previous example, but this is an alternative for the dropper, the dispenser, and also the powered rails. So that's just kind of like the standard pulse carrier that goes all the way through. So that's pretty much what all observers are about, and hopefully this gave you a little bit better understanding of how you can use these three blocks as well as more blocks in conjunction with observers to create some various pulses. Now, number 5, this is the one that you've all been waiting for. So the 5th advanced tip that we're going to be covering in today's video is actually the game speed mod. So you actually saw this previously when I was going over the triple piston extender design. The pistons were moving really, really slow, and this mod is great if you want to go ahead and figure out what's happening with your redstone contraptions. I have this 5x5 piston door here, and if I go ahead and type /TPS 5, which is 1/4 of the actual real time. So if I go ahead and set that, as you can see, I start moving really, really slowly, and if I go ahead and grab a block and place it and destroy it, it's very, very slow. So this is 1/4 game speed, and we can go ahead and take a look at how this actually functions. We flick this lever, and we can have some detailed look at everything and all of the functionalities of the redstone, and it's really great to debug some problems that you have with the redstone circuits. All right, so this seems like it's pretty good. So now we can just do /TPS 20 to return back to normal, and then debug, and then come back and do it all over again. This was fantastic when I was designing this. I don't have the bottom done yet, but it will be done, and that's going to be a video coming soon. So anyway, those are the top 5 advanced redstone tips if you want to become a better redstoner, and if you want to step into advanced redstone topics, especially like this, then those tips will definitely get you there. So thanks so much for watching. If you did like, and if you want to see another one, then please make sure to comment and leave a like and subscribe, maybe, if you want to, just help me out. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.